Hey guys, and welcome back to another Season of Discovery gold making video. In this one, I'm going to be showing you the best gold farm in the game at the moment. However, before we get into it, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to everyone that has got a copy of the gold guide. And if you haven't checked this out already, it's the first link down below in the description box. But let's get right into this farm. So we're going to be farming and soloing Wailing Caverns. And we're going to be farming the perfect deviate scales. Now these are used to make a belt, a leather belt that is pretty much best for like hunters and rogues, and it's really sought after at the moment in Season of Discovery. So obviously the perfect deviate scales are in very high demand. Now if you are Alliance, you are going to get a bit more for these just because less people are farming Wailing Caverns as Alliance. So first of all, you want to pick up skinning and you want to head over to the dungeon. And we're going to be soloing the trash mobs inside of Wailing Caverns. Now you can go really far into the dungeon, or you can just do a little loop around the first spot where all the dinosaurs are. And you can actually get the scales from drops just from killing the mobs, and you can also get them from skinning them. So it's highly recommended to have skinning. This way you'll have double chance to actually get your hands on the perfect deviate scales. And I'll be showing you how to do it solo as a mage, but you can do this as a hunter solo, a ret, like a paladin. A whole heap of classes can actually do this, like a shaman. Pretty much most classes can actually do this if you have a decent amount of gear at level 25. Now if you're like some of the other classes like a warrior or something, you probably just have to take it a bit more steady and you can't pull multiple mobs at once or big packs. But I'm going to be showing you how I do it personally as a mage, and as you can see, we already got a perfect deviate scale. And like I mentioned before, they're going for about 1 gold, a bit over 1 gold on my realm at the moment. I'm playing on Alliance obviously, and it has a bit better price, mainly because less Alliance actually run this dungeon, so therefore there is less of them. So the supply and demand is a little bit better on the Alliance, but you can still do this on the Horde side. I think the prices are just a tiny bit lower, but it's still definitely worth doing this. Now on top of this, you're obviously going to be getting medium leather and other leathers, and also some BOEs that can drop just from the mobs. Now some of the BOEs are actually worth a lot of gold. Now if you want to actually learn exactly how I'm doing this as a mage, I'm basically using a spec that I made a video about, the AoE, the best AoE farming spec. So if you want to learn exactly how this spec works, it's pretty simple though. You just use regeneration and you're basically healing yourself with living flame, and then also your arcane explosion. Now when you're doing this, you do not want to pull like massive mobs. Like packs of say 3 to 6 is probably the best amount to actually do when doing this. You want to make sure that you have your regeneration going, so whenever you do damage, you're actually going to be healing yourself back. So it's pretty simple. Now a few of the mobs are casters, so what you have to do with these, you either have to stack your AoE on top of the casters, or you can CS them, so counterspell them, and this will make them go to melee for a little bit, and then you can stack them all together, and then you can AoE them down. Now the little mobs, like the little goo mobs that are just, they walk around like patrolling around, when you're dealing with them, they change form, and so if you're doing this as a mage, they can be resist to say frost or fire. So you need to make sure you're basically using a different sort of spell when they are in that form. So if it's like red, you want to make sure that you're not using fire. As you can see, we just got another perfect deviate scale already. So the second one in this run already, which is really nice. But back to the goo mobs that patrol around. Basically, you just want to use a different spell class of whatever they are, and you'll know what it is because say if they're blue, they're obviously frost. If they're red, they're obviously fire. Now as you can see, it's pretty simple to actually do this farm. Now I didn't have much gear at the time of actually recording this. I recorded this a couple of days ago, and when you get a bit more gear, it's a lot easier and your health will stay up a lot more. But basically, oh damn, we already got a third one in this run already. Now some of the times with the mobs, you can actually just kill them solo. For an example, this mob right here, I'm just going to kill it solo instead of stacking it up with the other mobs. Now you could stack this up with the other mobs, but there is a second caster in the next pool. So you kind of don't want to have two casters in the one pool, because you only have one counter spell, and so you won't actually be able to stop both of them and make them come into melee form. So you'd have to like pretty much pull one of the casters over to the second caster. So I find it's a lot easier if you just do one caster at a time. This way you can stack them up a lot easier for your AoE. Now, why these are selling so good is because they're pretty much, I think they are the best belt that you can get for hunters and also for rogues. So this is the goo mob I was talking about. As you can see, it's blue at the moment. So that means that any frost spell won't work on this guy and it's immune to it. So for an example there, you'd want to use fire. Then if it changed to red, you'd obviously want to change and use a frost spell or an arcane spell. This way you can actually do some decent damage on it instead of it being immune to whatever spell style that you're actually using. Now when you have a bit more gear, you could probably even pull more than this, and you don't have to do the exact route that I'm doing. You can actually go deeper into the dungeon, but what I found out is that these mobs right here are all skinnable. The majority, well, all of the dragons that are just here, the dinosaurs, they're all skinnable, and they also drop these scales just from killing them, and some of the other mobs you can't actually skin. So, and this can take like 5 to 10 minutes depending on how quickly you do it. So this is the best way to actually do it. Just clear the dinosaurs right here, and then you simply go outside, you reset the dungeon, and you can rinse and repeat that 5 times within an hour, and then by that time your dungeon lockout would have reset and you can just keep on going one after another. Now there's another method to make a decent amount of gold, and you could actually sell like gear to people that want it inside of this dungeon. So you can actually solo some of the bosses, and there's a boss in here that sells legs, which are bis also for leather wearers. And so what I've done a couple times is if you just post in like trade chat saying that you're selling solo runs of Wailing Caverns for the legs, and then you can charge people like 5 to 10 gold once the legs drop, and you basically just continuously do this and you kill the boss, the first boss, and you continuously do it until they get the drop. They'll pay you the gold, and you can make a bit of extra like raw gold on top of the scales that you're farming. So you can actually make a lot of gold from doing this. In this run, I think we got 3 scales, and you can sometimes actually get more than that. On top of that, if you were selling, for an example, some of the loot from some of the bosses that you can solo, on top of that you'd make even more gold. However guys, that was it for today's video. If you enjoyed, hit the thumbs up button, and if you'd like to learn more about making gold in Season of Discovery, you can check out my complete gold making guide, which will be the first link down below in the description box. Now this guide is going to be constantly updated. At the moment it's mainly focused on phase 1, but in the next phase it will get updated, and you'll get the updated version completely for free. And I'll see you in the next one.